Emma, you offered me $5,000 because you were desperate, and I accepted because I wanted to be someone normal for once.
She urgently needed a husband by tomorrow, so she made a crazy offer. Marry her for $5,000 to a man she had just met on the street. What she didn't know, he was a billionaire in disguise. This story will make you laugh a lot. Chapter 1. The comic desperation and the crazy encounter.
I know this sounds insane, but will you marry me by tomorrow?
Point of view. Emma, I need a husband. By tomorrow. Yes, I know how that sounds. Thank you. It sounds like the beginning of a bad Netflix movie you watch at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep and regret the next day. But here I am, walking out of a coffee shop in Boston with a $7 coffee, because apparently my life needs to be expensive and ridiculous at the same time, trying to figure out where exactly someone finds a husband in 24 hours. The problem started 3 hours ago when my grandmother, Nana Dorothy, called me from the hospital. Her voice was weak, the kind of weakness that makes your stomach turn, and she said the phrase every granddaughter dreads hearing. Emma, sweetheart, I have one last request before surgery. My heart almost stopped. Risky surgery, tomorrow morning, and the request? To see her favorite granddaughter married. Because apparently I'm the only person in the Harper family who's still single at 29, and this, according to Nana, is a greater tragedy than any heart problem. I tried to argue. I tried to explain that marriage isn't something you do in a day, that normal people spend months planning these things, that I had a career to focus on. She simply said, Emma, I'm 78 years old with a tired heart. Can't you give me this joy? And that was it. Game over. I lost. When your grandmother uses the tired heart as an argument, you have no comeback. I called my ex, got married last week. Great. I called my best friend, he offered to help. But he's gay and my grandmother would figure it out in 2 seconds. She has a radar for these things that the CIA would envy. I opened 3 different dating apps, 2 horrible matches, and a guy who sent me a picture of a bonsai tree. A bonsai tree. I don't even know what that meant, but it definitely wasn't, let's get married tomorrow. Maya, my best friend, and the only person who still tolerates my breakdowns, suggested the unthinkable. Just hire someone. She said this while eating French fries, as if she were suggesting I order Chinese food, not that I buy a temporary husband. But the more I thought about it, the more the idea made sense. A twisted, desperate, and possibly illegal kind of sense, but sense. And then it happened. I walked out of the coffee shop looking at my phone, trying to find some website that offered this kind of service, because apparently the internet has everything except this, when I bumped into something solid. Very solid. The coffee flew out of my hand. Thank God it landed on the ground and not on anyone. And when I looked up, I saw a man. He wasn't the kind of man you see and think, wow, magazine model. He was the kind you see and think, he looks real. Worn jeans, simple t-shirt, sneakers that had seen better days, beat-up backpack hanging from one shoulder, dark hair kind of messy, like he'd just woken up or simply didn't care about these things. And eyes. My God. The eyes. Blue in a way that made you forget you were in the middle of a Boston sidewalk on a fall afternoon. Sorry, I said. Too fast, too nervous. My day is total chaos. I need a husband by tomorrow and I have no idea where to get one. Silence. He looked at me. I looked at myself. A lady walked past us and commented, "Honey, we all do." And he laughed. A low, husky laugh. The kind of sound that does something to your stomach, but in a good way. I got embarrassed, feeling my face heat up. By tomorrow? He repeated, still smiling. And that's really urgent. And then my mouth decided to work without authorization from my brain. Yes, my grandmother is sick and it's her last wish and I can't disappoint her, and I know I could have someone. But lately I haven't had time and I stopped. I breathed. Sorry, you didn't ask for my biography. No problem. He crossed his arms, and I noticed he was tall, taller than I expected. And he had that kind of posture that makes you think he's comfortable anywhere. So, you need a temporary husband. I sighed. It's crazy. I know. But I'm desperate. He tilted his head, studying me in a way that made my skin tingle. It wasn't uncomfortable. It was intense, like he was seeing more than I intended to show. And what exactly does this temporary job involve? I laughed. There was no way not to laugh at the absurdity of it all. Show up at City Hall, have lunch with my crazy family, pretend you love me. Simple job. Simple, of course. His voice had an amused, almost playful tone. And how much does it pay? $5,000 for the day, I said, and immediately regretted it. Maybe it was too much. Maybe it was too little. I had no idea how much a fake husband was worth on the market. He raised an eyebrow. You're serious. Deadly. I know it sounds insane. Sounds like the beginning of a bad romantic comedy. Or a true crime documentary. Haven't decided yet. We stood there, stopped in the middle of the sidewalk, people passing on both sides. And for one absurd moment, I thought this could actually work. He didn't seem crazy. He didn't seem dangerous. He seemed a normal guy who happened to bump into a desperate woman who needs a very specific and very strange favor. He extended his hand. Carter, I shook it. His hand was warm, firm, and held mine a second longer than necessary. Emma, so, are you in? You know this is completely insane, right? Totally. Will you do it? Carter smiled. A slow, dangerous smile. The kind that should come with a safety warning. Why not? Seems fun. My heart jumped. Literally jumped in my chest. Really? I have tomorrow free. Oh my God, you saved me. I pulled papers from my purse. Because yes, I had prepared a draft contract. Because you can never be too careful with strangers from the street. I need some of your details. Contract? He seemed genuinely surprised. Brought a draft. You can never be too careful. And then began the most hilarious negotiation of my life. Right there, on the sidewalk, with people passing by and looking at us like we were crazy, which we probably were. Do you have a criminal record? I asked, pen in hand. No. Know how to wear a suit? I can manage. Something in the way he said it made it seem like he knew how to wear a suit very well, but I ignored it. Any addictions? Face tattoo? Crazy ex? He held back a laugh. None of that, I promise. Really problematic family? Debts? Pyramid scheme seller? No, and definitely not. What do you do for work? Pause. Small, almost imperceptible. Property, management. Great. Stable but not too impressive. Perfect. He signed the contract with a pen that looked expensive. I didn't know about pens, but that one had weight. And I handed him an envelope with half the money. $2,500 now. The rest after. Deal. He didn't even open the envelope, just put it in his pocket. And something about that made me trust him a little more. We exchanged numbers. I sent a test message. He replied right away. Normal ringtone, nothing fancy. Great. See you tomorrow. Temporary husband. See you tomorrow. Temporary wife. We looked at each other. It was one of those moments you feel in your chest, you know? That thing of, something is happening here and I don't know what it is, but it's big. And then we laughed. We laughed at the absurd situation, at the crazy encounter, at everything, and we went our separate ways. I turned the corner feeling relieved, hopeful, and slightly hysterical. Carter seemed perfect, polite, handsome, reliable, an ordinary man who had a free day and agreed to something crazy for money. What I didn't see was him getting into a black limousine 3 blocks ahead. I didn't hear the driver saying, Mr. Brennan, the charity dinner. I didn't hear Carter responding, canceled. James, I have a wedding tomorrow, while laughing to himself. Because if I knew who Carter really was, if I knew I had just paid $5,000 for a billionaire to pretend to be my husband, I probably would have passed out right there on the Boston sidewalk, but I didn't know. And tomorrow would be interesting. Chapter 2. The Fake Wedding.
Relax, it's just a signature. Nothing could possibly go wrong.
Point of view. Carter. I woke up at 5 in the morning thinking I had completely lost my mind. It's not every day you cancel 3 high-level meetings, including one with Japanese investors, who flew 15 hours to be here, to marry a woman you met yesterday on the sidewalk, a woman who literally bumped into you, spilled coffee, and offered $5,000 to pretend to be her husband, a woman who has absolutely no idea who you really are. Emma Harper, freelance journalist, 29 years old, completely adorable, and completely unaware that she just hired the CEO of Brennan International to be her temporary husband. And the best part? She paid me, with money, as if I needed it. I looked at the check still in the pocket of the jacket I wore yesterday. $2,500. I spent that much on business lunches without blinking. But something about that gesture, the way she carefully counted the bills, the genuine concern in her eyes when she asked if I was sure, made me want to keep that check forever, frame it, put it on my office wall with a plaque saying, the day someone paid me to marry her. James, my driver, was still confused about everything. Mr. Brennan, are you sure you want to do this? It's unusual. Unusual was a polite way of saying, you've completely lost your mind. But I didn't care. For the first time in years, I was doing something that didn't involve spreadsheets, stocks, or decisions that affected thousands of jobs. I was doing something impulsive, stupid, and absolutely liberating. I chose a suit, Armani, dark gray, discreet enough not to draw attention, but well cut enough that Emma wouldn't suspect I was poorly dressed. I needed to look like someone who rented a suit for the occasion, someone normal, Someone who works in property management and has a free Thursday. The phone rang. Message from her. I'm at your building entrance. The doorman won't let me up. He said he needs authorization from Mr. Brennan. Do you live with someone named Brennan? I laughed to myself. Shit. I needed to fix this fast. I went down. Emma was in the lobby politely arguing with Robert, my doorman for 5 years, who seemed torn between following protocol and helping this clearly desperate woman. When she saw me, her face lit up in a way that made something in my chest tighten. Carter, finally! Your doorman is so serious. I thought he wasn't going to let me in. Sorry, he's cautious about visitors. I looked at Robert, who stared at me with that, "Sir, what's happening?" expression, and gave a discreet nod. He understood. He always understood. Emma looked me up and down and whistled, literally whistled. Wow, you even look elegant. Where did you rent it? Store, nearby. Technically, I wasn't lying. The Armani store was 3 blocks away. Looks great. Even looks expensive. It's a good imitation. I was going to hell. Definitely. The car I requested was waiting. A Honda Civic. Nothing flashy. I had to control myself not to laugh when Emma said, "Your Uber got here fast." It wasn't Uber. It was a car my assistant rented because I couldn't show up in my Mercedes, but she didn't need to know that. The ride to City Hall was a mix of her nervousness and my amusement. Emma chattered when she was nervous, I discovered. She talked about her grandmother, about how her family was crazy, about how grateful she was that I was doing this, and every word that came out of her mouth made me feel more guilty and more fascinated at the same time. "Are you sure about this?" she asked for the 5th time. "Because there's still time to back out. I'd understand." "I'm sure. It's just, you seem too serious to be doing this." I looked at her. Her eyes were brown, I noticed. Brown with little gold flecks you could only see when the light hit right, and she was genuinely nervous, biting her lower lip in a way that made my breathing fail for a second. "I get more relaxed after coffee," she laughed. Me too. The City Hall was small, bureaucratic, exactly the kind of place where quick weddings happen. Maya, Emma's best friend, was already there, and Blake, my best friend who almost fell out of his chair when I called yesterday, saying I needed him as a witness at a wedding. "You've lost your mind," he said. "I'm in," he added, because Blake always went along with my crazy ideas. Blake arrived in a Ferrari, red, flashy, completely inappropriate for the situation. Emma looked and whispered, "Your friend is a show-off, huh?" I died inside. That's just his way. The ceremony began. The officiant was a bored man who clearly did this 20 times a day and didn't care about anything except finishing quickly. But when he started talking, when he got to the vows part, something changed. Emma looked at me, and I looked at her, and the air became different, denser, more real. "Do you, Carter, take Emma as your wife?" I should have said yes quickly, mechanically, followed the script, but my mouth decided to improvise. "I do, and I promise to be here, in any situation, no matter what happens." Emma blinked. Her eyes became bright. "Carter, do you, Emma, take Carter as your husband?" "I do." Her voice came out low, emotional, and I saw when she swallowed hard. The officiant continued with the bureaucratic part. "Groom's occupation? Administrator." Emma sighed with relief and whispered, "I thought you were unemployed," and I had to hold back laughter. I signed the document, Carter Alexander Brennan III. My full name, pompous, that was on building plaques and corporate documents around the world. Emma looked and commented, "Wow, what a big name. Traditional family," something like that. My family was on the Forbes 400 list, but she didn't need to know. "Next," the officiant shouted, and that was it. We were married. Legally married. Me, CEO of an international hotel empire. Married to a freelance journalist who paid me $5,000. If my board of directors knew, they'd go into collective collapse. Lunch at grandmother's house was where things started to get interesting. The house was cozy, Boston suburb, with a small garden and decoration that screamed middle-class family. Nana Dorothy was in the living room, frail but with sharp eyes that assessed me the second I walked in. "So you're my Emma's husband," she said, and something in her tone made me suspect she knew exactly what was happening. "Yes, ma'am. Call me Nana, and sit here. I want to talk to you." Emma panicked. "Nana, let him breathe. Emma, go help your mother in the kitchen. I want to get to know my grandson-in-law." The interrogation began. Entire family at the table. Emma's dramatic mother, gossipy aunt, annoying cousin who wouldn't stop looking at his phone. "How much do you make, Carter?" the aunt asked bluntly. "Enough. 500,000 a month. But who's counting? What car do you have?" "I use Uber. I had a private driver and 3 cars in the garage. But details. Where do you live?" "Downtown Boston. $8 million penthouse with river view." but she imagined it was a one-bedroom apartment. And then my phone rang. Shit. It was Amanda, my executive assistant. Message on screen. Board meeting postponed to Monday. Investors understood. Emma saw a glimpse. Board of what? The condo? I thought fast. Exactly. The condo. Meeting about renovations. Oh, how responsible. She smiled, and I felt like the worst human being on the planet. Blake sent a message right after. Boss, we need your signature for the merger. Emma saw again. Your friend calls you boss. He's weird. It's a nickname. It wasn't a nickname. I was literally his boss, but she didn't know. I went to help in the kitchen because it seemed like the right thing to do. I washed dishes. I dried plates. Emma's mother almost fainted. Emma, you got one who helps around the house. Miracle. Nana pulled me aside while I was drying a pot. You really like her, don't you? The question caught me by surprise. Nana, I see it in the way you look at her. It's not pretend. She was right. It wasn't. Somewhere between yesterday and today, between the spilled coffee and the improvised vows, I had started to feel something real. Something that didn't involve money, contracts, or convenience. Something that scared and fascinated me at the same time. She's special, I said, honest for the first time all day. Then don't mess this up, boy. When we left, Emma was radiant. You were perfect. Nana loved you. My mom loved you. Even my annoying cousin said you were cool. Your cousin didn't say a word to me. Exactly. He hates everyone. His silence was a compliment. We laughed. And then she hugged me. A grateful hug, quick, innocent. But when she pulled away, our faces were too close. Breaths mixing, eyes locked. And for one insane second, I wanted to kiss her. Not because it was part of the deal, but because I wanted to. Her phone rang. Salvation or curse. She answered and her face changed completely. What do you mean postponed? Pause. Wide eyes. Next week? Another pause. Nana, okay, I love you. She hung up, looked at me. Absolute panic on her face. The surgery was postponed. Until next week. Nana wants us to live together. She wants to visit us. She wants to see that it's real. Silence. I should have said no. Should have explained that I had a company to run, meetings, responsibilities, but I looked at Emma, saw the desperation, the fear, the vulnerability, and my mouth said something completely different. Okay. Carter, do you realize this means 1 week? I can do 1 week. I'll pay more. Another $5,000. 10. Whatever you want. $10,000. I spent that much on ties, but for her, it was a fortune. And she was willing to pay because she trusted me. Because somehow, in less than 24 hours, I had become someone important in her life. 5,000 is fine, I said, and saw the relief on her face. There's just one problem, she continued, biting her lip again, that gesture that was starting to distract me dangerously. My apartment is a tiny studio, like really tiny. You won't fit. I thought about my penthouse, 3 floors, 6 bedrooms, panoramic view. I can get a better place. A friend has an apartment available. Really? He'd lend it just like that. We're very close. True. Me and myself were very close. The next day, I took her to the apartment. Not the main penthouse. That would be too obvious. But I had another property, a smaller apartment in downtown. Smaller being relative. 3 bedrooms. Equipped kitchen. Park view. Discreet by my standards. Luxurious for any normal person. Emma walked in and froze. Carter, this is huge. It's comfortable. Comfortable? It has a fireplace and a TV the size of my wall. What does your friend do again? Business. Import. Export. Technically, I wasn't lying. Brennan International imported and exported. I just omitted the part about the billions. And he just lent it out of nowhere. You guys are really close friends. Very, I confirmed, holding back laughter. We started the strangest cohabitation of my life. Emma established rules. Me on the couch, her in the bedroom, separate blankets. No entering without knocking. Basic. And I, accustomed to a king-size bed and Egyptian sheets, spent the first night on a 2-seater couch, trying not to think about how my life had turned upside down. On the second day, she cooked boxed mac and cheese. I looked at the plate as if it were an archaeological artifact. What? Never had mac and cheese. It's been a while. Since college. 10 years ago. Before a personal chef and 5-star restaurants. It's good and cheap. Students survive on this. I ate it. It was nostalgic. Bad, but nostalgic. On the third day, we needed to go to an event. Family again. She asked if I had nice clothes. I showed her the guest bedroom closet where I had left some things. 15 different suits. Emma stopped at the door. Wow, your friend lent all of this too. He's generous. Generous? This is a suit warehouse. What is he? A suit trafficker. I laughed. Really laughed. Because Emma was hilarious without trying. Because every lie I told got more absurd. Because I was living a romantic comedy in real time and didn't want it to end. But it would end. Eventually. When she discovered who I really was. When she realized that the man she paid $5,000 to pretend to be her husband was actually someone who could buy her, her family, and the entire neighborhood without blinking. And when that happened, when the truth came out, I knew exactly what she would do. Hate me. Completely. Chapter 3. The plan changes.
You didn't say your friend's apartment would look like this.
Point of view. Emma living with Carter was driving me crazy. Not in the bad way, in the dangerous way. The kind that makes you wake up in the middle of the night and remember that the man sleeping on the living room couch isn't really your husband. And your brain starts questioning why that felt wrong. It all started when Nana called. I was in the kitchen. Carter was in the shower. And when I heard her voice, my stomach turned. Emma, sweetheart, I have news about the surgery. My heart froze. What happened? Is everything okay? Yes, but they had to postpone it. Some issue with the surgeon, complicated schedule. It'll be next week. Relief and panic at the same time. Next week. Yes. And Emma, I was thinking, I want to visit you two, see you living together. I want to make sure my granddaughter is truly happy before the surgery. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. Carter came out of the bathroom, hair still wet, simple t-shirt, and somehow managing to look absurdly attractive doing absolutely nothing. Everything okay? He asked. And that genuine concern in his eyes made everything worse. The surgery was postponed. Postponed? Until next week. And Nana wants to visit us, wants to see us living together, wants to make sure it's real. I saw when the information processed on his face. Emma, I know you have things to do, a life to live. You probably have a job you need to get back to. And I'm asking for a whole other week and how much? He asked, just like that. What? How much can you pay for another week? My heart tightened, because of course, it was a job. I was paying. I needed to remember that. I can give you another $5,000. I know it's not much for a whole week, but it's what I have and that's fine. That's fine, just like that. Without negotiating, Carter smiled. That small smile that did something strange to my stomach. I like you, Emma, and your grandmother. It's worth it. I tried not to read too much meaning into that. Failed miserably. There's just one problem, I said, looking around my tiny studio. My apartment is, well, you're seeing it. It's a shoebox. You barely fit on the couch. A whole week and you'll come out of here with permanent back problems. I can fix that. How? A friend has an apartment available. I can borrow it. I looked at him, suspicious. What kind of friend lends an apartment just like that? Close friend. Very close. Practically a brother. And he won't need it. He has other places. As if apartments were t-shirts you have several of and lend one out. But I was desperate, so I accepted. The next day, Carter took me to see the place. Downtown Boston. Nice building. Polite doorman who greeted Carter like he knew him very well. We went up. 15th floor. And when the door opened, my jaw dropped. Carter, this is huge. It's comfortable, he said, casual, as if 3 bedrooms, gourmet kitchen, living room with fireplace and park view was comfortable. Comfortable. It has a fireplace. And look at the size of that TV. And this kitchen. What does your friend do again? Pause. Business. Import. Export. Of what? Gold? Diamonds? Organs? He laughed. Nothing illegal, I promise. And he just lent it out of nowhere? You guys are really close friends? Very, he confirmed. And there was something in the way he said it, like a secret, like a lie. But I was so impressed with the apartment that I ignored it. Your friend is like rich. He gets by. Right. Normal people who get by don't have 3-bedroom apartments in downtown Boston with fireplaces and panoramic views. But okay. We started official cohabitation. I established rules. Because rules were important when you're living with an extremely attractive stranger, who's technically your fake husband. Rule number 1, I said, sitting on the couch with a notepad. Because yes, I made a list. You stay in the guest room, I stay in the master bedroom. Deal. Rule number 2, always knock before entering any room. Makes sense. Rule number 3, no walking around shirtless. He raised an eyebrow. Why? Because it's uncomfortable and inappropriate and unnecessary distraction. Shit, I said too much. His smile grew. Distraction? For the process of pretending, of matrimonial concentration. I was making up words. Great. Just wear a shirt, okay? Okay, but the way he said it, amused, teasing, made my face heat up. The first day was strange in a good way. Carter woke up before me, made coffee, perfect coffee, and when I came down, he was in the kitchen reading the newspaper like we were really married, like this was normal. "Good morning," he said, and smiled, and my heart did that stupid jumping thing. "Good morning." I took the cup he offered. Our fingers touched. Electricity. Again. Always. "Sleep well? You make really good coffee." "You didn't answer my question." "I slept." "And you? Is the guest room comfortable?" "Much more than your couch." We laughed. And it was easy, natural, like we'd known each other for years, not days. On the second day, I decided to cook, show hospitality, be a good host. I made my specialty, boxed mac and cheese, $3 at the supermarket, quick, efficient, delicious by perpetually broke student standards. I put the plate in front of him. Carter really looked, like a scientist analyzing a new species. "What? Never had mac and cheese?" "It's been a while." "A while, like how long? A month? Longer? A year? Maybe 10? 10 years. How does someone go 10 years without mac and cheese? It's basic food. It's survival. It's..." "Emma." He held my hand. Soft touch. Warm. "It's great. Thank you." He ate it. All of it. Every bite. And there was something about the way he ate it, like it was an anthropological experience, that made me think maybe Carter lived in a very different world from mine, but he was just a property manager. Normal. Common. Right. On the third day, we needed to prepare for a family event. Charity dinner my mother organized. Upper middle class wanting to impress each other with performative charity. "You need nice clothes," I said, entering his room. I knocked first, followed the rules. Carter opened the closet, and there it was, 15 suits, 15, perfectly aligned, black, gray, navy blue, some with pinstripes, all looking absurdly expensive. I stood there, mouth open, brain processing. "Your friend lent all of this?" "Yes, all of it, all of it." "What kind of friendship is this? Are you like emotional Siamese twins who share everything including an entire wardrobe?" Carter laughed, that low laugh that did things to me. Something like that. I grabbed a gray suit, felt the fabric. It was good, really good, heavy. Quality you could feel even without understanding suits. "This seems expensive." "It's a good brand." "What brand?" "Italian. Italian like Armani, among others." I looked at him, really looked, trying to understand. "Carter, is your friend rich?" "Depends on the definition of rich." "Rich like having 15 Italian suits, apartment with fireplace, and lending everything without blinking." "He does well." "Does well." That phrase again, evasive, mysterious, but I didn't want to push, because part of me was afraid of the answer, afraid that Carter was more complicated than he seemed, and I liked him simple, liked the illusion we'd built. Temporary husband, convenient arrangement, nothing more, except it was starting to feel like much more. That night, I sat on his couch. Territory invasion, rule breaking, but I needed to talk. "Carter." "Yes." He was reading something on a tablet, turned it off as soon as I spoke. Complete attention, always. "Thank you, for staying, for doing this, for being nice to me." "Emma, no, let me finish. I know it's work. I know I'm paying, but you make it seem real, and that means a lot." He looked at me, that look that lasted too long, that said things mouths didn't say. "What if it is real?" My heart stopped. What? What if it's not just work for me? The air became dense, heavy, charged with possibility. Our faces were close, very close. I could see details. Small scar near his eyebrow, dark lashes, accelerated breathing. He was going to kiss me. I knew it, and I was going to let him. I wanted to. And then my phone rang. Nana. Perfect timing, or terrible, depending on perspective. I answered. "Hi, Nana. Emma, sweetheart. Just calling to confirm. Tomorrow night, charity dinner. You and Carter are going, right?" "Yes, we are." "Great. I want to see my son-in-law looking elegant. I bet he looks handsome in a suit." I looked at Carter. He was looking at me. Intensity that cut. "He does. Nana. Very handsome." When I hung up, the moment had passed. Carter pulled away. Safe distance. Respectful. "Tomorrow will be interesting," I said, voice coming out lower than intended. "It always is with you." I smiled, got up, went to my room. But before closing the door, I looked back. He was still looking at me, and in that look there was promise, danger, possibility, tomorrow, event, family, more lies, more pretending, and increasingly difficult to remember what was real and what was theater. Chapter 4. The truth almost comes out.
Isn't that Carter Brennan? The billionaire?
Point of view. Carter, I was completely screwed. Not financially, obviously. Screwed emotionally, sentimentally. The kind that doesn't get solved with money or power or anything else I had in abundance. Screwed because I was falling in love with a woman who had no idea who I was, and that truth was about to explode in my face. The charity dinner was tonight. Upper middle class Boston wanting to feel important through charity. Normally I'd avoid this kind of event like a problematic shareholders meeting, but Emma would be there, and where Emma was, I wanted to be. Simple as that, complicated as that. I chose the charcoal gray suit, the Brioni that cost $12,000, and that Emma thought was a good Italian imitation. The irony was killing me inside. Everything was killing me inside. Every lie, every half-truth. Every time she looked at me with those brown eyes full of trust, and I knew I was betraying that trust. "You look very elegant," Emma said when she saw me, and the way she looked at me made every cent of that ridiculously expensive suit worth it. "You too." And she was. Simple navy blue dress, but on her it looked like a work of art. She didn't need diamonds or designer labels. Emma shone on her own. The event was at the Grand Boston Hotel, my hotel. Well, technically Brennan International's, but still. I walked through that lobby knowing 30 employees would recognize me, praying none would open their mouths. I'd had Amanda, my assistant, send a discreet memo, "CEO present tonight in personal capacity. Absolute discretion required." We entered. The ballroom was decorated with flowers that cost more than Emma's annual rent, live music, champagne flowing, and people, lots of people who potentially knew me. "Relax," Emma whispered, holding my hand. "It'll be fine. It's just family and boring high society people wanting to seem charitable. If only she knew I was high society." We got 10 minutes. 10 blessed minutes of peace before everything started to fall apart. "Carter Brennan," the voice came from the left. Loud, shocked, impossible to ignore. My stomach plummeted. I turned, recognized immediately. Patricia Wentworth. Attended 3 charity events I sponsored. Saw my photo in Forbes magazine. Shit. Absolute shit. "You're Carter Brennan, the billionaire." Emma laughed. Genuinely laughed. "Billionaire? He's Carter, property manager." Patricia looked at me like I was an apparition. "Property manager. He's the CEO of Brennan International, Hotel Empire. You don't know who your husband is." Blood froze in my veins. I saw the moment happening in slow motion. Emma confused. Patricia shocked. People starting to look. My entire life about to implode. I needed to act. Fast. "I'm his namesake," I said. Perfect smile. Calm voice. As if discussing a simple contract. "Happens all the time. Carter Brennan is a surprisingly common name." Patricia blinked. "Common?" "Very. I know at least 6 just in Boston. Usually creates confusion at restaurants. Once I got his reservation at Menton. Embarrassing for everyone involved. I was making it up. Completely. But I sold it with confidence. And confidence was half the battle." Emma laughed again. "Wow. What a crazy coincidence. Imagine being a billionaire's namesake. You must get his emails all the time. Constantly. Lots about hotel acquisitions. Very boring." Patricia still looked skeptical, but accepted it. Or pretended to accept it. Either way, she walked away. But I saw her looking, doubting, processing. "What a weird woman," Emma said when we were alone. "Imagine confusing people like that. You, a billionaire." She laughed, guffawed, like it was the most absurd thing in the world. And it was. Absurdly real. I thought the worst had passed. I thought wrong. Half an hour later, I heard the sound. Unmistakable. Impossible to ignore. Sound of a helicopter landing on the hotel's helipad. My helipad. Because of course Blake, my supposed best friend who promises discretion and never delivers, would arrive in exactly the most flashy way possible. "What's that noise?" Emma asked. "Helicopter." "Who arrives by helicopter at a middle-class charity event?" "Your idiot best friend," I thought. "Someone very important?" I tried. Blake walked in 3 minutes later. Tom Ford suit, Patek, Philippe watch. Attitude of someone who owns half of Boston. Because he did. He saw me. Smiled. That problematic smile that always meant, "I'm going to do something you'll hate." "Carter," he shouted, crossing the ballroom like it was a runway. Emma looked at me. "Your friend arrived by helicopter?" "Apparently. Why is your friend so flashy?" "That's just his way," I said, tired, resigned, wanting to kill Blake slowly. Blake reached us. "Carter, what a surprise to see you here. And this must be..." He looked at Emma, smiled. That smile he used in business meetings before destroying competitors. The famous Emma. "Hi," Emma said, polite but visibly uncomfortable. "You're the helicopter and Ferrari friend. Blake Morrison. Pleasure." He shook her hand, looked at me, eyes saying, "You're kidding me, right?" Blake was leaving, I said, meaningfully. Was I? I just got here, and now you're leaving. Emma looked between us. Did you two fight? No, Blake said. Yes, I said at the same time. Why? He knows, I said, staring at Blake. Blake smiled. Idiot. Issues of properties, complicated management, you understand? No, Emma said. Honest? I don't understand anything about property management. That's better, Blake said, and I wanted to kill him. Well, I'll circulate. Carter, we'll talk later. Emma, it was a pleasure. He walked away, but I heard when he whispered, passing by, "You're completely insane." Insane. Yes, completely. The rest of the night was controlled torture. People looking at me, questioning, doubting, but no one else confronted directly. Emma remained blissfully oblivious, talking with cousins and aunts, introducing me as my husband Carter, property manager. And every time she said that, something in me died and was reborn simultaneously. When we finally left, when we finally got into the car, I requested. I breathed, really breathed for the first time in hours. What a strange night, Emma said, settling into the seat. She'd been drinking, 2 glasses of wine, flushed cheeks, bright eyes, beautiful, dangerously beautiful. Strange how, that woman confusing you with a billionaire, your friend arriving by helicopter, everything very excessive. Welcome to my world. Escaped before I could filter it. Your world. You manage properties. You don't arrive at parties by helicopter. True, I drove, focusing on the road, not on her, because looking at her now would be dangerous. Silence. Long, comfortable, until she spoke. "E. Carter?" "Yes. You're too nice to be doing this for money." My heart stopped, literally stopped in my chest. "Emma, no, let me talk." She turned to me, serious eyes, vulnerable. "I know it's a lie. I know you're here because I'm paying. But sometimes, when you look at me that way, I forget I'm paying for you to stay. And that scares me. Because when you leave, when this week is over, I'm afraid I'll miss you. Afraid I'll want you to stay forever. Forever." She said forever, and something inside me cracked completely. "Emma," my voice came out hoarse. "What if I don't want to leave?" She held her breath. What if this is real for me too?" Silence. Heavy, charged with possibility. I stopped the car. Didn't plan it. Just stopped. Empty parking lot near the apartment. I turned to her. She turned to me. And in that small space, in that suspended moment, the entire world reduced to just the two of us. "Carter." She whispered my name like a prayer. I leaned in. She didn't pull back. Our faces inches apart. Breaths mixed. Heart beating so hard she could probably hear it. I was going to kiss her. Finally. Really. And then my phone rang. Of course it rang. Amanda. Executive assistant. Perfect timing to ruin a perfect moment. I answered. Had to. "Yes. Mr. Brennan. Board meeting Monday, 6 a.m. Investors confirmed attendance. We need your approval on the merger beforehand." "Mr. Brennan." Speakerphone. Emma heard everything. "What board wakes up at 6 in the morning?" she asked. Still dazed. Still close. "It's a very important condo," I said, and it sounded weak even to me. She pulled back. Moment broken. Magic undone. We drove back to the apartment in silence, each processing, each afraid, each wanting something we didn't know how to ask for. Emma went straight to the bedroom. I stayed in the living room, looking at the ceiling, thinking about how everything was falling apart and building itself up at the same time. Tomorrow. I needed to tell her tomorrow. The truth. All of it. Before it exploded in a worse way. But not tomorrow. Not yet. Just one more day living the lie that was becoming the only truth that mattered. Chapter 5. Lies Get Complicated.
Carter, how exactly does a property manager afford this?
Point of view. Emma Day 4 of fake marriage, and my life was about to turn upside down. I just didn't know it yet. I woke up to a message from Steve, my editor, always with impossible demands at 7 in the morning as if the world would end if I didn't respond immediately. "Emma, perfect story for you. Eccentric new billionaire in town. Carter Brennan, CEO of Brennan International. Need full profile. Exclusive interview. Photo attached. Deadline Friday." I opened the photo still lying in bed. Messy hair, face of someone who needed intravenous coffee, and almost dropped my phone. "That's crazy!" I said out loud. Too loud. "He looks exactly like Carter." The photo showed a man in an impeccable suit, giant office behind him with panoramic view, confident and powerful smile, same piercing blue eyes, same dark hair perfectly styled, same sculpted jaw that made me forget basic Portuguese. But this guy had an air of, "I own 3 countries and a private jet." He literally had a jet in the background of the photo, and that posture of someone who's never heard the word no in their life. My Carter wore a beat-up Walmart backpack and ate boxed mac and cheese without complaining. I called Maya. Level 10, emergency. Maya, you're not going to believe this. My editor sent a photo of a billionaire I need to interview, and the guy is identical to Carter. Like, clone, twin, scary, silence, long, heavy, significant. Maya, Emma, she sighed. That sigh of, my friend is an idiot. Are you really dumb or in denial? Denial about what? They're different people. My Carter is a property manager. He uses an old backpack. Takes Uber. This guy in the photo has a private jet. Office the size of my entire building. Emma. And look here in the article. It says he's 32 years old, heir to a hotel empire, Forbes 400, net worth in the billions. Billions. Maya, my Carter shares mac and cheese with me. Maya was silent for 3 seconds. You need therapy? Urgent. I'll send contacts. I need coffee, not therapy. I hung up, looked at the photo again. Okay, the resemblance was disturbing, but impossible. Completely impossible. I went to the kitchen. Carter was on his phone, unlocked, on the table next to his coffee cup. Good morning, I said, grabbing my mug. Good morning, sleep well. And then it happened. A notification appeared on his screen. Big, bright, impossible not to see. Bank transfer of $2,000 confirmed. $2 million. I stopped, coffee halfway to my mouth, brain freezing. Carter? He looked up, saw where I was looking, grabbed his phone very fast, suspiciously fast. Your phone just showed a transfer of $2 million? Pause. Micro expression of panic. Oh, yeah, it's from Blake. From Blake. Right. He uses my account sometimes for large transfers. I stood there processing this absurd information. Your friend uses your bank account to transfer $2 million. What kind of insane trust is that? Do you share kidneys too? DNA. Netflix password counts as a degree of intimacy, but bank account. Carter laughed. Nervous. Definitely nervous. We're very, very close. Since childhood. Close like financial Siamese twins. What if he robs you? What if it's money laundering? What if it's nothing illegal, I promise. It's a joint investment. Expensive properties. $2 million properties. Boston real estate market is expensive. I accepted it. Because the alternative was questioning my entire reality, and it was too early for an existential crisis. Let's go shopping. I changed the subject. The fridge is empty. Whole Foods was the first mistake of the day. Giant mistake. Carter grabbed the cart and started walking through the aisles like a kid in a toy store. Grabbing things. Lots of things. Expensive things. Truffle-infused olive oil imported from Italy. Wild Alaskan salmon. Artisanal cheeses with names I couldn't even pronounce. Belgian chocolate in gold packaging. 3 bottles of wine that cost $70 each. Carter, I said, trying to stay calm. Are you looking at the prices? I'm getting good stuff. Good like expensive. This olive oil costs $40. $40 for olive oil. There's $5 olive oil that works the same, but this one has truffle. Nobody needs truffle in olive oil. Truffle is unnecessary luxury. It's liquid showing off. He put it in the cart anyway. Smiled. That smile that disarms any argument. We got to the checkout. My heart already racing. Palms sweating. Mentally calculating the financial disaster. The woman scanned the items. Beep, beep, beep. Each beep sounded like an emergency alarm. $847. My brain exploded. How much? 800 and what? Carter, this is absurd. Return everything. Everything. But he already had that cursed black card in his hand. Swiped it. Machine approved instantly without even hesitating. Carter, you just spent almost a month's rent on food that's going to run out in a week. Sorry. He looked genuinely remorseful, grabbing the bags. I got carried away. I've never shopped like this. Never shopped. What do you mean never shopped? You're 32 years old. Usually. I ordered delivery. Grocery delivery? You're that fancy? It's practical. We went home, put away the groceries, me still grumbling about financial waste, and him patiently listening like I was giving him a life lesson. In the afternoon, Blake showed up. Of course he showed up. Because my life was a sitcom, and he was an annoying, recurring character. Horn honking. I looked out the window. Porsche. Red. Shiny. Screaming. Your friend arrived, I announced. Carter went down. Was gone 20 minutes. Came back. Why do you hang out with people so rich if you're normal? I asked. Direct. No filter. He stopped. Thought. Blake is a childhood friend. Childhood where exactly? Boarding school for European billionaire heirs? Academy for sons of tycoons? Private school in Switzerland. In Switzerland. My voice went up 3 octaves. Who goes to school in Switzerland? Royalty. Billionaires. People who ski in the Alps on weekends. It was a good school. Good. Switzerland isn't good. It's stratospheric. How much did it cost? I don't remember. How do you not remember? It was a long time ago. Many years. I let it go, but mentally noted it on the growing list of strange things about Carter that don't make sense. That evening, Carter suggested dinner out. I know a place. You'll love it. We arrived. Fancy restaurant. Elegant facade. Valet taking imported cars. Glass door with maitre d' in a tuxedo who looked more intimidating than bank security. Mr. Brennan, the maitre d' aide, practically bowed. What a joy to have you back. Your usual table is ready. I froze. Completely. Your usual table? Carter smiled tensely. He must be confusing me. Confusing? He called you Mr. Brennan by your full name. It's a common name. Coincidence. How many times am I going to hear that Carter Brennan is a common name? It's not. We sat down. Best table in the restaurant. Private corner. Beautiful view. Candle. Celebrity treatment. Carter, I whispered, looking at the menu without prices. Without prices. Universal sign of, you don't want to know how much it costs. Do you come here a lot? A few times. With what money? Good savings. Your magical infinite savings that pay for 5-star restaurants. We ordered. Food arrived. It was divine. Best meal of my entire life. And then came the check. The waiter left the discreet leather folder. Carter opened it. Didn't even blink. I peeked. $1,200. $1,200. Carter! I practically yelled. People looked. That's rent. A whole month's rent with condo fees included. He grabbed the black card again. That cursed card that seemed to have no limit. No! I grabbed my wallet desperately. I'll pay half. You can't spend like this. You have a future, retirement, medical emergencies, inflation. Emma. He held my hand. Firm, warm, looked into my eyes. I can afford it. Trust me. Something about the way he said it, sincere, deep, made my heart tighten. We drove back home. He paid. I was still processing. And then my world exploded. Phone rang. Steve, 11 at night. Emma, Steve, why are you calling so late? You're not going to believe this. Quick investigation. Checked civil marriage records. And boom, my stomach dropped. Boom what? You married Carter Brennan, the billionaire, the CEO of Brennan International. Exclusive story. Front page tomorrow. Journalist secretly marries billionaire heir. It's going to be a national sensation. The world stopped. Wait, what? Need you and him at the paper tomorrow, 9 a.m. Bring photos. Full story. How you met. Details. He hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, brain in complete collapse. I looked at Carter. He was taking off his jacket. Normal. Calm. As always. I need to go, I said, grabbing my purse and keys. Emma, what? I need to go. Now. I left. Drove. Google Maps open. Address. Brennan International Headquarters. I arrived. Giant building. Glass. Steel. Absolute power in architectural form. I went in. Luxurious lobby. Security stopped me. I'm looking for Carter Brennan. Mr. Brennan is in a meeting. It's urgent. He hesitated. Picked up the phone. Spoke quietly. Nodded. 15th floor. I went up. Heart beating out of control. Elevator feeling eternal. Doors opened. I saw him. Carter. Coming out of a huge conference room. Impeccable suit. Different posture. Powerful. Men and women in expensive suits around him. Treating him like a king. And then I saw it. The sign. Big. Gold. Impossible to ignore. Brennan International. CEO. Carter Alexander Brennan III. I froze. Completely. He saw me. Eyes widened. Emma. But I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't process. Because I just found out. I paid $5,000 for a billionaire to marry me. Chapter 6. The truth and the fight.
Even the man I married?
Point of view. Carter. The board meeting was going perfectly. 20 executives around the table. Presentation about resort acquisition in the Maldives on the big screen. Impressive numbers. Everyone agreeing it was a solid investment. Amanda presenting projections. Blake to my right taking notes. Everything professional. Controlled. Exactly as it should be. And then the door burst open with a crash. Emma entered. Messy hair. Wide eyes. Breathing hard like she'd climbed 15 floors of stairs. And she screamed. Screamed loud. Loud enough for the entire room to hear. You're a billionaire? The world stopped. 20 pairs of eyes turned to her. Then to me. Absolute silence. Embarrassing. The kind that makes you want the floor to open up and swallow you. Emma, I tried, standing slowly. Let me. No! She pointed at me. Accusing finger. voice trembling with anger and something that looked like pain. You lied to me, and you even made me pay $5,000 to marry you. The silence got even heavier. If that was possible, Richard, senior executive sitting on the left, blinked 3 times in a row. Mr. Brennan got married for $5,000. Blake, because Blake never knew when to stay quiet, let out a laugh. Technically, she married him for $5,000. Emma turned on him like lightning. Hey, you, the helicopter and ridiculous Porsche guy, shut up. Blake raised his hands, trying not to laugh, failing miserably. And then Emma looked around, really looked, saw the 20 executives, saw Amanda with tablet frozen in the air, saw the huge table, saw everything. Oh my God, she whispered, hands covering her mouth. I can't believe there are people here. Lots of people. I'm sorry, everyone. Really sorry. I'm leaving. Nothing happened. You didn't see anything. She started backing up. Sorry for interrupting the meeting about, her eyes found the big screen, the presentation still open. Giant slide. Maldives resort acquisition. Investment $250 million. Pause. Emma looked at the screen, at me, back at the screen. You have a resort in the Maldives. Not yet, I tried to explain, as if that helped. We're negotiating. I share Netflix with my mom, she screamed, and then laughed. That hysterical laugh of someone having a nervous breakdown. Netflix, with my mom, and you're buying a $250 million resort. The executives were trying not to laugh. I could see it on their faces, shoulders shaking, hands covering mouths. Jennifer from accounting was red, holding back laughter. Emma took a deep breath, very deep. You know what? You guys continue buying islands or whatever billionaires buy. None of this happened. I wasn't here. You didn't see me. She turned to leave, tripped over her own foot, almost fell, caught herself on a chair, recovered balance. I'm fine. I'm great. Bye. She left, door slamming. 20 executives looked at me, mouths open, shocked. Some definitely laughing now. Meeting adjourned, I said, grabbing my jacket. Amanda, reschedule. But sir, the acquisition, reschedule. I ran. Down the hallway. Elevator. Stairs because the elevator was too slow. Lobby. Street. Emma was on the sidewalk, walking fast, very fast. Emma, she didn't stop. Emma, wait, I don't want to talk to you. I caught up to her, held her arm. Gently, she turned, and I saw the tears, saw the pain, saw everything crumbling. Why didn't you tell me? Her voice came out broken, small. Was I a joke to you? Entertainment? The poor girl who paid you? No, I almost shouted. No, Emma, you were the only person who wanted me for me, not for the money, not for the power, not for the last name. I offered you $5,000. She laughed bitterly. I bet you spend that much on underwear. I don't spend that much on... It wasn't supposed to be literal. She pushed my chest. Weak, more symbolic than real. You lied. About everything. Everything was a lie. My feelings weren't... I held her shoulders. Firm, desperate. I fell in love with you, Emma. For real. This is real. Of course. She rolled her eyes. Tears streaming. The billionaire fell in love with the broke journalist who shares Netflix with her mom. What a beautiful fairy tale. What's the ending? You take me to the castle and I live happily ever after cleaning your 100 properties. You're the only person who asked me to wash dishes. My voice came out hoarse, raw. The only one who got mad because I spent too much at the grocery store. The only one who worried about me, not about my bank account. You saw me, Emma. Saw me, not my money. She stopped, breathing heavily, eyes on mine, searching, wanting to believe but afraid. I don't know what's real and what was theater, she whispered. This is real. I moved closer, slowly, hands on her face. Every moment, every look, every feeling, real. I leaned in, was going to kiss her. Finally, show her it was true. She pushed, hard. No, I pulled back like I'd been punched. I need time, she said, wiping tears. I need to process, to think. I can't right now. Emma, please. Broken voice, eyes pleading. Just let me go. And she went, walked to her car, got in, left, and I stood there, on the sidewalk. Executives probably watching me from the 15th floor windows. World crumbling. I went back to the building. Meeting obviously canceled. Blake was waiting for me in the lobby. Man, he said, and there was something in his tone. Sympathy. Rare thing coming from him. You're screwed. I know. Like, really screwed. I know, Blake. Will she forgive you? I looked at him. Honest. Vulnerable. I don't know. I went home. Not the borrowed apartment where I lived with Emma. My real penthouse. 3 floors, panoramic view, absolute luxury, and completely empty, cold, lifeless, without her. I sat on the $15,000 couch and realized I preferred the 2-seater couch in her apartment because she was there. Phone rang. Blake. Man, she went back to her studio. How do you know? I have my resources, and there's more. Her friend, Maya, went there, brought ice cream, lots of ice cream. I hung up, looked at the ceiling, high ceiling, award-winning architecture, completely meaningless. Meanwhile, in Emma's tiny studio, Emma was on the floor, literally on the floor, leaning against the small couch, pint of chocolate ice cream in her lap, eating straight from it. No bowl, no dignity. Maya sitting beside her, own pint, Ben & Jerry's, solidarity. He's a billionaire, Emma said, for the 10th time, as if repeating it would make it make sense. Yes, a billionaire, Maya. Yes, got it the first time. I paid him. $5,000. Got that too. Emma ate more ice cream. Big spoonful. I'm an idiot. You are, Maya agreed. Then, but not for the reason you think. Emma looked. Huh? You're mad because he lied, Maya said, slowly, choosing words. Or because you're scared. Scared of what? That he's too perfect. That you're not enough for him. Emma stopped, spoon in the air, processing. He has billions, Maya. And he chose you. Because I paid him. Emma. Maya held her shoulders, firm, true friend. He stayed, even after the 5,000. Even after the week. He stayed, washed dishes, ate your horrible mac and cheese, met your family, did everything. Why? Emma didn't answer. Because she knew but was afraid to admit it. You fell in love, Maya said. Soft, true, for real. And so did he. And that terrifies you because it means when he leaves, when this ends, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. What if I'm not enough? Emma whispered, vulnerable, voice breaking. He has everything. Maya, money, power. He can have any woman, models, actresses, heiresses. Why would he choose me? Because you're you. Maya smiled. You who screamed in his meeting with 20 executives. You who made him spend $347 at Whole Foods and had a fit. You who worries about him spending too much. You, Emma, the real person, not the edited version that rich women show. Emma felt a tear fall. New, warm. I fell in love with him, she admitted, first time saying it out loud. I fell in love and now I don't know what to do. You decide, Maya said. Fear or love, you can't have both. Emma stayed quiet, eating ice cream, thinking about Carter washing dishes, smiling, looking at her like she was the only person in the world, and she realized she'd already decided. She just needed the courage to admit it. Chapter 7. Grand gesture and happy ending.
I don't want a fake marriage anymore. Will you marry me for real?
Point of view. Emma day of Nana's surgery. Massachusetts General Hospital. 7 in the morning. I was alone in the pre-op room, holding her hand, trying not to cry. And where's your husband? Nana asked, eyes sharp even in the hospital bed. I took a deep breath. Time for the truth. Nana, I lied. We're not really married. I paid him $5,000 to pretend to be my husband because you asked, and I didn't want to disappoint you, and I know, sweetheart. I stopped, blinked. What? Nana smiled. That smile of someone who knows everything. I know, my granddaughter. I know that desperate way of yours. But that boy looked at you in a way. I decided to let it play out. You knew, the whole time. Grandma's not a fool, Emma, but I saw real love, so I let it happen. Tears fell. And now I've ruined everything. He lied, but I also couldn't trust. And then fix it. Nana squeezed my hand. Firm. Go after him. After the surgery. Promise me. I promise. Nana. They took her away, and I stayed in the waiting room, alone, nervous, looking at the clock, thinking about Carter, about everything I said, about everything I didn't say. 1 hour passed. 2, 3. The door opened. Carter walked in, breathless, messy hair, wrinkled suit like he'd slept in it, eyes searching, found mine. What are you doing here? My voice came out shaky. I promised your grandmother I wouldn't leave you alone. A promise is a promise, even after everything. After what I said, he sat next to me, took my hand. Especially after everything. I broke down, threw my arms around him, cried. He held me, tight, like he would never let go. I'm sorry, I whispered into his shoulder. Sorry for everything. I'm the one who should apologize. For lying, for not trusting you with the truth. We stayed like that, embraced, until the doctor appeared 3 hours later saying, perfect surgery. She's doing great. 2 weeks later, Nana recovered and home. Carter called me. I need to show you something. Can I pick you up? He arrived in a Honda Civic. Yes, still pretending normalcy. I laughed when I saw it. You can stop pretending now. I know about the 3 cars and the driver. He smiled. Force of habit. He took me to downtown Boston. Beautiful commercial building. Modern, and it had a new sign. Shiny. Harper Institute of Investigative Journalism. I stopped, looked, reread. What? Full funding for independent journalists. Carter explained. Nervous. First time seeing him nervous. Scholarships, resources, space, everything. In your name. Instant tears. Why? Because you showed me that money doesn't matter, but it can help what does matter. And journalism matters. You matter. I covered my mouth, sobbing. Carter, and there's more. He pulled an envelope from his pocket, extended it. I opened it. Legal papers. Read the title. Divorce papers. My heart plummeted. He wanted to divorce. Of course. Made sense. I had ruined everything, destroyed it, and now he wanted. Carter knelt, on the sidewalk, in the middle of the street, people stopping to watch. I want a divorce, he said, serious, then smiled. And to get married again. For real. No lies. No payment. No pretending. He pulled a small box from his pocket, opened it. Ring. Beautiful. Simple, but perfect. Emma Harper. Chaotic. Stubborn. Who screams in meetings and taught me that love can't be bought. Will you marry me? I laughed. Cried. Simultaneously. You're crazy. Is that a yes? Only if you promise to never use Uber again to hide that you have a private driver. He laughed. I promise total transparency, including that I have 3 cars. 3? Dramatic pause. I accept anyway. He put on the ring, kissed me, right there. Boston sidewalk. People applauding, and it was perfect. Real. Finally real. 6 months later. The wedding was at a hotel. Of course, Brennan Hotel, but the decoration was a perfect compromise. His luxury, my simplicity, beautiful flowers but not over the top, live music but smooth jazz, incredible food including, to the chef's horror, a mac and cheese station. Nana Dorothy was there, healed, radiant, dancing with Blake, who I discovered was a decent human when he wasn't being annoying. Time for vows arrived. Carter looked at me, held my hands. I promise to never hide who I am again, and never forget who you taught me to be. I promise to wash dishes, even though I have 3 maids who can do it. I promise to look at prices at the grocery store, at least sometimes, and I promise to love you, not despite our differences, but because of them. My turn, voice trembling but firm. I promise to never pay anyone to stay with me again, except you. I pay with love, every day. I promise not to have a heart attack every time you spend too much, at least not always. And I promise to remind you who you are when the world tries to make you forget. Kiss, applause, tears. The party was perfect. The cake had custom cake toppers. One of them was holding a little sign, $5,000. Everyone laughed. I almost died of embarrassment. Carter thought it was hilarious. Maya pulled me aside. I still can't believe you paid your billionaire to marry you. Best investment of my life, I replied, watching Carter talking with Nana. I heard that, Carter shouted from across the room. You were supposed to, I shouted back. He crossed the room, took my hand, pulled me to dance. Slow, song. Frank Sinatra, classic. Happy, he whispered. I'd absurdly, even married to an annoying billionaire. Especially because of that, he whispered something in my ear. Something dirty. Something about after the party. I laughed so loud that people looked, and we danced. Simply danced. Journalist and CEO. 2 impossible worlds that somehow fit perfectly. Later, when we cut the cake, I saw it, framed on the wall of the ballroom. The original check, $5,000. With a little plaque underneath, my first payment, Carter Brennan, retired husband for hire. I laughed. He laughed, because sometimes the best stories start with completely insane decisions, like paying a stranger on the street to marry you, and discovering he was a billionaire, and falling in love for real, and living happily ever after. Even with 3 cars, Blake's occasional helicopters, and arguments about prices at Whole Foods. Because in the end, love is priceless. But if it had a price, $5,000 would be a bargain.